Beloved listeners, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing a moment of stillness in a world that pulls you in 1,000 directions at once. Thank you for giving your attention to a voice that speaks slowly and honestly, without chasing trends, without trying to entertain you with noise. I greet you with humility, the way an old wanderer greets travelers who come seeking warmth around a quiet fire. I have no miracles to offer you, no shortcuts, just clarity earned slowly, painfully, through years of watching human nature repeat itself while the world pretends things are constantly changing. What we will explore together is a truth so old it has almost been forgotten. The more you say, the less you do. Sit with that for a moment. Let it sink into the deeper layers of your mind, the places where your real ambitions lie, far away from public eyes, far away from the expectations of others. Let's begin together slowly. Let the noise of the world fade for a moment. Because if you're listening, it means you're ready to confront something in yourself that most people avoid: the enormous gap between their words and their actions. I've spent a lifetime observing this gap in businesses, in relationships, in dreams, and in failures. And every year, that gap gets wider for most people. Not because life is harder, but because speech is easier. Talking has become a way for people to escape the discomfort of action. They announce their plans, describe their intentions, explain their dreams. But when the moment arrives to move, really move, their certainty dissolves. Their discipline evaporates. Their momentum dies before it even begins. Words cost nothing. Action demands everything. This is why the world is so full of declarations and so empty of results. People talk as if the universe is taking notes. They imagine that saying something loudly enough will drag reality into alignment. But reality is deaf. It listens only to work. It bends only to consistency. It rewards only the quiet, invisible grind that nobody sees and nobody applauds. Some people spend their entire lives mistaking talking for progress. They talk about getting healthier instead of adjusting their habits. They talk about starting a business instead of studying their craft. They talk about improving their life instead of confronting their own patterns. Talking becomes their identity. Dreaming becomes their drug, and time, indifferent and merciless, passes anyway. The reason people talk so much about their goals is simple. Talking gives them the illusion of effort without requiring the sacrifice of effort. Talking allows you to enjoy the fantasy of a new life while staying safely anchored to your old one. Talking is comfort disguised as ambition. I remember once sitting across the table from a young man who told me he wanted to build something extraordinary. He talked for hours, passion in every word, certainty in every gesture. He had plans, ideas, charts, visions. He believed that speaking about them with enough enthusiasm proved he was serious. I listened quietly. I didn't interrupt him. And when he finally paused, waiting for praise, I asked him only one question. What have you already done? His confidence dissolved instantly, because behind all the words, there was nothing, no action, no movement. Just potential, unlived, untested, unmaterialized. Potential means nothing without discipline. Dreams mean nothing without execution. Words mean nothing without proof. People fear action from a very specific place. Action exposes the truth. Action reveals your actual ability, not your imagined ability. Action forces you to confront your weaknesses. Action requires you to face failure, not just talk around it. But here is the painful paradox. Avoiding action does not protect you. It traps you. It freezes you inside the version of yourself you are pretending to outgrow. I've lived long enough to watch people talk themselves out of opportunities. They waited until conditions were perfect. They waited until they had more time. They waited until the fear went away. They waited for permission that never came. While they waited, someone quieter simply began. And in life, the quiet ones always win. Not because they're smarter, not because they're more talented, but because they waste no energy explaining themselves. While others are thinking about taking the first step, the quiet ones are already halfway through the journey. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is focus. Silence is commitment. Silence is the sacred space where ideas turn into reality. There is a kind of quiet that weak people fear, the quiet where you must confront your own thoughts. But there is another kind of quiet, the quiet of builders, creators, disciplined individuals who trust themselves more than they trust applause. When you keep your goals private, something powerful happens. You eliminate the need to perform. You reduce the pressure to impress. You remove the temptation to exaggerate. You stop chasing validation and start chasing competence. This is why the most capable people barely speak about their ambitions. They are too busy working on them. In my life, I've met talkers and doers. Talkers are loud, emotional, dramatic. Doers are calm, grounded, sharp. Talkers need attention. Doers need only time. Talkers believe their words are valuable. Doers understand that only results have value. A person who acts quietly builds something real. A person who talks loudly builds an image, and images collapse quickly. Let me tell you a truth most people never accept. Your life will not change because you declared something. Your life will change because you behave differently. People say, I want to be more disciplined, while maintaining every habit that destroys discipline. People say, I want to be successful, while avoiding every form of discomfort that success demands. People say, I want a better life, while repeating the same patterns that built the life they now want to escape. Reality doesn't respond to your wants. It responds to your actions. If you want to break the cycle of talking without doing, it begins with one shift. Stop announcing what you plan to do. Start tracking what you actually do. When you talk less, you remove the illusion that saying something is the same as achieving it. You begin to see your real habits, your real discipline, your real momentum or lack of it. And here is the secret that most people never discover. Once you start acting consistently, you lose the desire to talk, not because you're hiding anything, but because you no longer need to. When you're busy moving, talking feels like a waste of energy. When you're deeply focused, describing your plans feels childish. When you begin to trust your process, you stop seeking validation from people who aren't part of it. Quiet action creates confidence. Loud intentions create pressure. You must decide which one you want. I want to speak directly to you for a moment, not as a narrator, not as a teacher, but as someone who wants to see you grow. There is something in your life you have delayed, something you think about often, something you plan to start soon, when things calm down, when you feel ready. You know exactly what it is. You've carried it with you for years, through failures, through distractions, through moments when you almost began but stepped back because the fear felt bigger than the desire. Let me tell you the truth you already know, but have tried to ignore. You are not waiting for the right moment. You are avoiding the discomfort of beginning. Beginnings are humbling. Beginnings expose how little you know. Beginnings force you to face your own incompetence before you rise. Beginnings demand patience, which most people do not have. But beginnings are also where you reclaim your power. They're where momentum is built. They're where identity shifts. They're where the gap between your words and your actions finally starts to close. If you want to change your life, don't make an announcement. Make a move, a quiet one that requires no witnesses. Maybe your first step is small, smaller than anyone would care to notice. Good. That's how real change begins. Small steps, repeated consistently, lead to massive shifts. Loud declarations lead to nothing. You don't need the world to know your plan. You need the world to see your results. One day, if you remain disciplined, the changes will become visible. People will notice. They'll ask what happened. They'll assume you transformed overnight, but you will know the truth. You will know that the transformation began the moment you stopped talking and started acting. You will know that every quiet morning, every unnoticed hour, every silent improvement was building a life that nobody could see yet. Most people want recognition before work. You must want the work more than the recognition. Talk less, do more. Let your results be the only explanation anyone needs. Because when you start moving consistently, something extraordinary happens. Your self-respect grows. Your confidence becomes grounded, not imagined. Your identity shifts from someone who wishes to someone who builds. Your habits begin to align with your future. Your environment starts to change because you have changed. Life rewards the door far more than the dreamer. Let me leave you with this final thought, spoken with the honesty of someone who has lived long enough to stop sugarcoating anything. Your future self is not watching what you say. Your future self is watching what you do. Every choice you make is a vote. Every action is evidence. Every day is a decision between becoming who you want to be or remaining who you've always been. If you truly want to evolve, speak less, move quietly, work deeply, and let your results echo louder than any words ever could. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your presence. Now go build something real in silence, with conviction, one honest action at a time.